Should we as Christians be eating crab? In this video, I'm going to take a deep look into the Bible and what it tells us about what we should and shouldn't eat when it comes to the wildlife of the sea. Hi, I'm Tyler, your Christian personal trainer, and here at 517 Fitness, I'm all about helping you lose weight and gain faith. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to join the 517 Fitness family. So as part of this biblical lifestyle, this biblical eating plan that we're creating here on 517 Fitness, we have to take a deep, hard look at the Bible verses that talk about basically our diet, which leads us into Leviticus 11, 9 through 12 reads, "Of all the creatures living in the water, of the sea and the streams, you may eat any that have fins and scales. But all creatures in the seas or streams that do not have fins and scales, whether among all the swarming things or among all the things living creatures in the water, you are to regard as unclean. And since you are to regard them as unclean, you must not eat their meat. You must regard their carcasses as unclean. Anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales is to be regarded as unclean by you." So, just like in the previous Leviticus verses, God lays out a very blunt plan when it comes to wildlife of the sea. It needs to have two things, a fin and scales. It can't just have fins and it can't just have scales. It has to have both of them. So what does that mean we can eat? You're looking at tuna, salmon, cod, trout, halibut. Basically, a good amount of fish have both fins and scales. So what does that mean we can't eat? Actually, we can't eat catfish, crab, shrimp, oysters, scallops, squid, octopus, lobster. Basically, anything that's not a fish. The thing that actually was the most surprising to me was catfish. I had never even thought of them not having scales. So there's kind of a logical aspect to this, that the reason why this makes sense for us to keep this dietary law in practice today. The logic being kind of going back to old school mom sayings, you are what you eat. See, all the animals that I just listed off to you are what are considered bottom dwellers. They're basically the garbage disposal system for the whole sea. So very much like what I talked about in previous videos about meat and the digestive system of cow and pigs, this has to do exactly with the wildlife that we eat in the sea. They basically only eat the garbage that's left in the sea. So we don't want to be what we eat eats, if that makes sense. So to stick with the we are what we eat concept, let me tell you this story. There's a story about a crab fisher sitting on the dock, and he's just catching crab after crab after crab. And he's just throwing them into this bucket. And one day, this little boy comes up to him and goes, "Sir, all your crabs are gonna run away. Why is there not a lid on this box you have of crabs? This container?" And the old man just kind of looks at the kid, chuckles, and says, "Watch this." And he throws another crab in there. There's probably 15 crabs in this bucket, and every time one of the crabs goes to climb out, one of the crabs from the bottom just grabs him and pulls him down. Crab climbs up some more, another one grabs, pulls down. Another one goes up to the side. All of these crabs are trying to push themselves out, that they actually are just hurting themselves and not letting any of the other ones succeed. So I use this story as a kind of a visual of psychologically and emotionally that crabs are crabby and don't want you to succeed. And I know it's kind of a weird connection, but they eat not real. I mean, they're the garbage disposals of the sea, and then they treat each other in such a way that we as humans shouldn't treat each other either. It's kind of a interesting second way of looking at this story than getting away from just the physical makeup of a crab. There's also a psychological kind of subconsciousness to the crab that is well documented as that they're very, that they just pull each other down. So why is it that eating crab is not actually a practice that is practiced in church today? I actually find this one probably the most interesting because so often churches have crab feeds as fundraisers. But it goes back to the book of Mark, where Jesus gets kind of cornered by the Pharisees and they're talking about, ritual cleaning of the hands before eating and whatnot. I actually have a whole video about the dietary laws, which you can watch right here. I really take a good look at this verse more, but to summarize it, basically that verse, Jesus is not talking about the actual food that's going into our system. He's talking about the rituals of cleaning ourselves before eating. And the second thing is that the verse itself has kind of warped through the translation of it throughout the years. And the part that says, thus Jesus made all food clean, isn't fully a part of the Bible. There's a part of it that is actually just the translator's translation of what is going on in the full context of that verse. And like all of this, the verse that actually kind of, to me, summarizes this the best is Matthew 5:17 through 19, where it says, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I do not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven." That verse itself, to me, speaks widely over the concept of the laws of the Old Testament and how we, as Christians today, should still fulfill them and still obey them. I highly suggest watching my pork video where I kind of go into a little bit more of a conversation about that verse. But logically, I just also have always found it interesting that for years growing up in the church, I was told, you want to live like Jesus. What would Jesus do? Jesus would be obeying those laws, but yet nobody wants to obey them now. It's so interesting to me how people kind of mold this in such a way that fits into what they want. And here's the thing that really is interesting, is that if I wanted to mold this in a way that was how I like eating crab. I like eating lobster. I think they're delicious. I love calamari. I'm a huge sushi fan. And the fact that I can't eat crab wipes out huge amounts of sushi options. But I believe that God is saying that that's how we should eat, is to not eat animals of the sea that don't have a fin and don't have scales. So guess what? I get things flipped around when I get sushi. I don't get calamari when I'm out with friends as an appetizer. I think they're called po' boys. I mean, they sound delicious when I watch them on the Food Network. The New Orleans fried oysters and catfish sandwiches and stuff like that. I don't eat those things. because A, I don't believe God wants us to eat it, but then 2, I personally have found that those are actually really unhealthy options, and the options of eating a fish with fins and scales tend to be the more healthy option for us. So once again, God lays out a plan that is the best for us. So what do you guys think? Do you believe that we should eat the way the Leviticus 11 says, or should we not? I'd love to hear your views of it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly hope that it has helped you grow in your faith and help you lose weight. And like always, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I would hate for you to miss out on any of these fun videos. And like always, God bless, finish strong, and I will see you in the next video.